Thank you so much for joining us. And today I have got a super, super special guest, and Monica Hope Dunn. And you don't know this, but you actually played a very, very pivotal part in my journey as a level 3 practitioner. And Monica is a very, very special level 3 practitioner. And I'll just tell you a little piece of my journey, how you influenced me without you even knowing it. So I always remember when you were doing your level 3 training and you posted on Facebook, and I think I was a level 1. I'd just done the level 1 then, but you posted on your Facebook account, you doing your training, and Jovi was there, and Diane Morrison, and Julia Cannon, obviously. And that picture was such a turning point for my motivation, because to me, that was proof that this can actually be done. Somebody is doing it. Somebody is taking the steps. So I can do that.
Oh.
And it was, and I didn't actually contact you for probably a year after or whatever, and telling you that that was a huge seed that got planted in my mind. And you had no idea. You were just posting a picture and probably all excited. And
Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that touches my heart.
It's very much the ripple effect, isn't it? We don't know what, even though something might seem the most innocent thing to us, but down the line in the ripple effect, it might make a huge difference to somebody else.
Definitely.
Which is what happened with me. So I'm forever grateful. Thank you, Monica.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for hearing the call to do, to go take it to level 3, because you're an amazing practitioner. I mean, I haven't personally worked with you, but I feel it, I sense it, I know it. And thank you.
Thank you. So this series is on basically anything. It's on session stories, Qhht session stories. So feel free to share whatever you want to, basically, yeah. But I know that you had a inkling of sharing your personal session, so that'll be fun. Tell me all about that.
Well, what was fun for me is preparing a little bit for this, and I'm a bit spontaneous, so I don't do as much preparation as someone else might do. But I grabbed my old laptop out and started listening to my archived session from 2016. And it was such an interesting, at least the past life portion was just very fascinating. And I want to share it to tell people to not have any expectations about their sessions, about what might show up, because what came through for me was so outrageous and outlandish and very kind of strange. And I bounced around a lot. It wasn't like just one place and one time. I was all types of beings and creatures. And so it was fun for me to go back and listen to it. And the messages are still the same. I need to listen, and the importance of listening to your session. It's so valuable for anyone who has a session to just really go back and listen to it, because even if you think you remember it all, you will be amazed at what you find out when you go back and listen.
So tell me what happened in the past life of yours there.
Well, even if this doesn't seem possible, because we don't think that it's possible to be an inanimate object, but I was. I was feeling nauseous, and I was just seeing this like black and red metal, and and I was a cargo ship.
Wow.
I was a
Wow.
and I just started giggling in the session because I was like, no way. This can't be.
How cool. That's super cool. I've never had a cargo ship. There you go.
Yeah, and and it was so fascinating because I was feeling like I was rocking and I was nauseous, like I was on sea at sea.
Yeah.
And well, that's why. And so that was really fascinating. And the reason when I got to the SC, to the subconscious, they said that the reason I was shown that is because everything serves a purpose.
Mm.
And so there's no room for judgment about anything that we do in our lives or haven't done, or there's just
It's an experience.
Yes, and that's what we're here to do, is experience, or that's what we're here to be, essentially.
Yeah. Wow, how cool. A cargo ship.
Yeah.
So how did you feel? Did you feel quite big and strong, or can you remember?
I felt valuable. I felt like, oh, I need to move this cargo.
Yeah.
And
I got some purpose in my life.
I have some purpose. And this is what it feels like to have purpose. I can't really remember it too much, but mostly that was the feeling. And then I moved into the next scene, was that I was in sort of like a fairy tale castle scene with rolling hills, and it was just beautiful and fantastic, and just and I look down at my feet and I have sparkly green curled up toes, curled up shoes, and I was a frog.
Oh, wow.
I was a frog, and I was dressed in like as almost like a court jester outfit with these sparkly green shoes, and I was some sort of like servant to the king, but I was more like a friend to him. And I served in the court, and it was just so fascinating. And the reason for showing me that was to bring in more playfulness and whimsy into my life.
Yeah. How fascinating.
Yeah. And to not take things so seriously, which is, we can always take that that lesson.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Who were you in a past life? I was a frog. I was like a court gesture frog. Yeah.
Yeah. So I need to remember that more often. that I was this frog creature. So, and then I was also coral. And I was just observing the fish and the creatures in the sea, and I was really just being an observer, and the message was being is enough. Yeah. Wow. And then I was also a flower. So I mean, it was amazing. And so I guess I share this partially because it's really funny, but also because I can't express enough to people who come for a session just to let go of any expectation about what they might experience in their session, and for what reason. We have no idea. So
beautiful. It seems like your subconscious or your higher self packed in a lot.
Yes.
For you.
Right.
In that one little session. Lots of messages. Yeah. Man, I would be so honored if I could facilitate a session for you. We would have so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing.
I'll book my flight to Oz.
We would have so much fun together. Yeah. There's a huge message in that, and just if you are going to have a QHHT session, just let yourself go. Yeah, don't judge yourself. Don't judge what you're seeing in your mind's eye. Just go with it.
Yes,
it's all good. There's no right. There's no wrong. Just go with it.
Yeah, and I always tell people that, just even if it seems like it doesn't make any sense at all, just go with it. And yeah.
So tell me, with your session there, so did it have much meaning to you, like after you had your session?
Oh, definitely. And funny enough, I think the life of the frog had the most impact on me. Just bringing a lightness to my being. And I find that that's something that is common in many sessions, is to bring a lightness of being. It was just, for me, it was actually during training for my level 2 that I.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah, and I'll be getting another session soon. I'm sure. I'm finding that who I'm going to have the session with. When you're a level 3 practitioner, your level of discernment goes up a bit.
It skyrockets.
Yeah.
So what would your advice for, if somebody's watching and they're looking for a practitioner, what would your advice be when they're trying to search for a practitioner?
You have to follow your heart and your gut and your intuition. I mean, you really you have to go on the inside when you're searching the website, when you're on the website and you're seeing different people's pictures and you're seeing different names, just allow what pops out at you, just open yourself up to receive who wants to be the practitioner to work with you, who the right fit is, who you resonate with. And
find someone who's not going to judge you, who's just really kind and compassionate and knows what they're doing, basically, who has the experience and the skills. So then you as a client know or feel that you've had the best session that you can have.
Yes.
Speaking of frogs, that is the most common theme of when people see their passed over relatives or loved ones that are crossed over, grandparents or parents or even children or whoever. The common theme is they're taking life way too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Bring some joy and some happiness and some fun into your life.
The bills will always be there later.
Yes.
Another thing that I just wanted to mention, because people sometimes have some doubt after a session, no matter how fantastic it was, or I can have people who are just so deep under in hypnosis and they will still question, I had this one woman who, she came out, why do I feel like I have lead weights on? I'm just, like my body feels like it has lead weights on it and I can, I'm having trouble sitting up. And I said, that's because you were really deep in hypnosis. And so we end up talking and she shared with me about that her partner was really excited to come visit my neck of the woods. I live in the woods, and this area is known for Sasquatch. And in particular, like this area, in fact, the county next to mine has an ordinance that there's a $10,000 fine for harming Sasquatch.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's amazing.
So that tells you how how many sightings there have been here, and the experiences that people have had. And so these people came up from up north, actually near Seattle, and they came to visit me for her session. And her boyfriend kept saying, "I want to see a Sasquatch on this trip." And she said, "Oh yeah, right." And he was almost more of a believer in those types of things,
metaphysical stuff.
Yeah. But she had studied it more, and she was having the session. And so she had her session, and she said afterward, like, "Why am I so heavy? I can barely move." And she was still convinced that she wasn't under. And she had a great session, and it went really well. And so we talked for a while, and I, convinced her that, yes, you were under. And so she went back to her Airbnb with her boyfriend. And that evening, she wrote in her journal, I still am not convinced that this was real and that my session was real. And please just, if it was real, give me a clear sign. And her boyfriend had gone outside and with his flashlight, and it was totally dark. And they were on about 22 acres of land. And he came running and screaming back in the house. And he said, "Ah!" And he was just completely freaking out. And she said, "What's going on?" And he was like running around in circles until she could get him to calm down enough to say, "I just saw a Sasquatch."
Be careful what you ask for.
So that was clearly her message as well. And she believed after that. And she said so many things were unfolding after that, and so many fantastical, strange happenings. And yes. And once she opened that door to the magic, it just started flowing in, So. Yeah.
That's right. And then the more they allow it, the more it happens.
Yes.
You wanted that one. Super cool.
Yeah, I feel like there have been so many amazing sessions. And I think my favorite part of sessions is when people release. I mean, QHHT is so much about releasing, and so much gets released. And when they just watching them release, you just know how much baggage they've been carrying for so long, and just to see it like fall away is just it's just my favorite, to know that their life is forever changed, like from this moment on.
The way that I perceive that is people have no idea how much old baggage they're holding within energetically. Yeah. It's just churning in there, and people aren't even consciously aware of how much or what is in there until they have a session like this and get in touch with it. And then when they release it and let it go, oh my God, that's the best feeling in the world.
It is.
This one lady, she came in, and because sometimes you'll actually see it come out in the physical. And she had so much emotions and stuff that she said, "Oh, it's coming up my stomach, it's coming up through here." It was releasing out of her mouth, but she actually had this, like, she arched her back, and she had this, it looked like an apple out the side of her neck. It was like stretched like that. It was just so big, this ball, and it just went on. But it actually physically manifested into this big, huge ball in her neck. Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It must have been so uncomfortable because her neck was like this, and it was for her. Yeah, just amazing.
It is amazing what comes through, and then just all the releasing and all the different ways that people release as well. I mean, of course, there's crying.
There's so many different ways. It's completely up to their subconscious and what's the best way for them to release it. Yeah.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. I guess I just feel like so much healing has taken place. And I have to say that I don't always remember later after, because it's not mine to hold on to. But I do know that there has been a tremendous amount of healing in every session that I've done, even if it doesn't look like it at the time. It's comes through later that, you hear of these miracle sessions where there isn't even much said, but it's like I get the sense that this is my perception of what takes place in a session, or at least this is just what I sense. I sense that their team of angels, guides, masters, everyone who works with them, their counsel, everyone shows up for the session because they're so excited. They're so excited that they showed up to be there and to receive it, and just setting the intention to have a session.
Yes.
Change everything.
Sometimes their guidance team actually tries to almost push each other out of the way because they've got so much to say.
Right, it's my turn.
Yeah, they're so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's not even about the session sometimes, it's about after the session. I had this beautiful session last week, and she was in direct connection with Saint Germain.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. And then, so she got hold of me probably about 3 or 4 days after, and said she went to the same temple as Saint Germain. This is after, like in her own meditation, and there was another angel there that was a new one that's taking her on this other journey. Yeah, so Saint Germain's always there. He's always her rock. He's been with her since the day dot. But she's got access to this other angel that's going to give her some other guidance. So she is super excited about life. Really excited.
Thank you for sharing that. You just tipped me off to a session I had last week that was similar in that she went back to age 2, somewhere around age 2. And while she was in the crib, I think she was very distraught. And she had 3 beings come to her while she was in her crib. And the woman is like about 70 now. And the beings, 2 of them were angels and 1 was a guide. And she said the amount of love that she was feeling coming from them was just like overwhelming. She was sobbing. It was so beautiful. And she knew at that time that they are with her always and have been the whole time, these whole 70 years, 68 years later, that they've been with her the whole time, and that she was always receiving that love. And all she had to do now was just tap into it and feel it and know that they're always there. And so she rekindled that connection, and that was so beautiful.
Yeah, that's very much going to start a new chapter in her life.
Yes.
Completely different chapter.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow, it's amazing, isn't it? That's why we're so blessed to do this kind of. It's not even work.
Right, this play.
This play, yeah. Very blessed that Dolores had the courage of her conviction to go against the grain and just be her own genuine self.
Yes. She was so authentic and so real. And what's great about this time in history is that we get to see her speaking to us now. She's still with us in all the videos and all the speaking that she did. And we get to by example, like she is telling us to just be who we are and be
Mm.
authentic and live your truth and to not care what people might say.
Yeah. Don't worry about being judged, because they're going to judge you anyway.
Yes. Even if you're trying to please them.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Right.
So grateful to Dolores, and couldn't be more grateful in the universe.
How did you get into QHHT? I don't think I know this story.
I haven't told many people this story. I've been told to do a video on it.
Oh, okay. So, well, you don't have to share it now, but
no, that's okay. That's I was doing my clinical sessions.
Yeah.
And then I went back for more training, and part of it was past life regression. I didn't believe in this kind of stuff. I was just like, whatever. But there was a lady there that said you should learn it. You should just do it. She goes, just trust me, you should do it. And the course was starting the next day. So I actually went to the trainer, and she said, well, I'll squeeze you in. So I was very grateful for that. And then so I actually did it, and I just resonated with it. And then so we learned the technique. It was just very much basically Brian Weiss past life technique. But on the third or fourth day, she had on the screen it was a tribute to all the pioneers of past life regression, basically. And she actually trained under Dolores Cannon herself. So obviously, Dr. Brian Weiss came on first, did his tribute, like a 5-minute speech on how wonderful and amazing, what a beautiful human spirit he was. And then Dr. Michael Newton, Life Between Lives, came on and just found out a bit about his backstory. And then the third one was a lady called Dolores Cannon. And I'd never seen an aura. I'd never had any real metaphysical experience before. But as soon as I saw Dolores Cannon, I just got drawn into her. Like I was an ILOC clinically, from a clinical hypnosis point of view. I was an ILOC, and that's when somebody puts themselves in a state so deep that is the daydream state. Whereas you can do it with your eyes open, you can focus on something, and someone will be like this, and no one's home, basically. That's how I was the nanosecond that I saw Dolores. And around her picture was this light blue flame, aura flame, and then around it was this white, and then around that was this deep blue, and they were like flames. Mm-hmm. And I was just locked. I couldn't look away from her, and all I could feel from her was just love. That's all I could feel from her. And then I had this voice in my head, and it was a woman's voice while I was there. And it's funny because it said, I just taught them what I knew, and I was out of there. And I was like, wow, that's weird. And then about 10 seconds later, the voice came back and said, they thought I was mean. And I was thinking, how could anybody think that you're mean? It's like, and then the picture went, and then it was the next person. And so I snapped out of it straight away, and I was just like, whoa, what was that? And then, so the trainer was talking about the next one. So I actually interrupted her, and I said, you trained under Dolores, that lady Dolores. She was like, yes, that's right. And I said, what was she like? And she said, word for word, she just taught us what she was there to teach us, and she was out of there. I was like, that's interesting.
Wow.
And then she carried on, And then she came back about 10 seconds later and she goes, well, actually, there was a lot of us that thought she was quite mean.
Oh.
And inside, I was laughing and laughing and laughing. And I was like, how could anybody think that she was mean? But then I found out later what happened, because that was I think it was in 2010 that she was here. And I actually found out later by talking to Julia that that was when she was writing Convoluted Universe 4. And she was teaching, but the publisher had published the wrong date on when they were going to get the book out. So she had to actually scrap 300 pages out of Convoluted Universe 4. And because she was sort of scrambling on which ones to do in editing, so she was teaching the class, but every single spare moment she was doing Convoluted Universe 4 because she had a deadline to get it out with her publishing company. Yeah. But I didn't know that until a couple of years later. And I was like, wow, that all makes sense to me. So who knows what that was? Who knows? So that's what got me into Qhht and this metaphysical stuff, and basically this magical, invisible world that we can't see or have anything with our five senses. That's a bigger picture to us. So that's how Dolores got me. I always say, you don't find Dolores, she'll find you.
Yes. And you hear that so often.
She'll find you. Yeah. And she'll keep pushing.
Yeah.
If you don't notice her the first time, she'll keep coming back.
Oh, I noticed her right away, like you. Like I just
undeniable. So tell me a little bit about that. How did Dolores come into your life?
My partner was watching videos, and he's generally, at that time especially, was much more into watching YouTube videos on. He was excited about some area that she was a part of, and so he said, there's a woman that I think you might like. I want you to watch this video. And I had been into this type of thing for my whole adult life. Really, I'd been seeking out a healing modality that would fit for me to work in for about 20 years. So none of this was really new for me. And at that time, I was just doing a job I didn't like, and just to get by and that kind of thing. And within 5 minutes of me listening to her, I said to him, this is my work, and we're going to Arkansas. I'm taking the class. And that was it. I mean, it was a knowingness, and it was so strong, and it was immediate, and there was just no question. It was just there.
That's a non-negotiable.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, that's one of those, when we do our soul contracts before we come in life, that's one of those nexus points. I call them a nexus point. That's not negotiable. It's going to happen. Bang, there. You can't deny it. Even if it doesn't make sense, you just had to do it. You just had to do it.
Yes. It was undeniable. I was doing it.
Undeniable. Yeah. And you trusted it, and you went with it. You didn't resist it. And look at where you are now.
Yes.
You're a level 3 practitioner.
Right. Yeah. So
amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. And I haven't once looked back. Even if I felt like I had a day where maybe I felt like, I don't know if that session was so great. Maybe I'm not a great practitioner. We all have days like that. But I've never once thought, this isn't my work.
Fine.
You just know, and
it's not even work.
Yeah, right.
It turns to a point where you're just being it.
Yes, it does. And that
you're not doing it, you're being it. Yeah.
Right. The longer you're in it, you get to that, and I don't know if I had a flip of a switch that happened at some point. It just feels very different now.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so blessed that you agreed to do this. So tell everybody whereabouts you are in particular and how to get hold of you if they want to have a session and maybe see a Sasquatch as well.
Right. So I live on the border of Washington State and Oregon State, and I'm about an hour and a half from Portland, Oregon. So if someone were flying in, they would fly into Portland, and I'm maybe 4 hours to Seattle. So that's the general location I'm in. And then I live in a small town called White Salmon. And
Beautiful.
yeah, and it's on the Columbia River, just across the river from Hood River, Oregon. And
Nice.
yeah, and so it's a really beautiful place, and
It looks beautiful. Just looking at your backdrop, it's just stunning.
It is. It's very beautiful, and yeah. So, and you can find me at Monica Dunn, QHHT.com.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, John. It was such a pleasure.